start, a bit of housekeeping. We're not anticipating the fire alarm to sound today, but if it does, the fire exit is there, or just leave the back door. The toilets are in the hallway over there. Teas, coffees, just help yourselves. If you need a topper, we'll just go and help you out there. And, oh yeah, telephone. If you do have a mobile phone, please turn it to silent or turn it off, please. Okay. Croeso I ffôn o hwniadau pwyntiau yn Ceredigion. Fe'n yw Tyleri Davies, dyn ni'ch swyddog datblygu gyda Carfo. Mae mi afrif chi'n nabod Ann, sef y swyddog adnoddau cymunedol. Hefyd, da ni Kelly Wilson Cewen sy'n ffilmo. So, sy'n gyda'n ymwneud. Kelly yw swyddog mentrau cymunedol. My name is Tyleri Davies. I'm a Senior Development Officer at Carfo. We all know Anne, who's our Community Resources, and we've also got Kelly, who's our Enterprising Communities Officer, which is another European funded project. You all got a pack, I hope, in front of you. In that, we have the agenda, gyda'r heddi. There's been a bit of a rejig to the agenda. Unfortunately, our first speaker from Communities 2.0, Carlos, his car's broken down in Pencader. So he won't be our first speaker. Hopefully, we can get hold of him and somebody will pick him up. So we'll shift him to the end. So Malcolm has kindly agreed to step in and jump the queue to our first speaker and talk about Pennant. So let's get this probably. Os mae rhywun am holi cwestiynau yn sy'r dydd trwy gyfrwng Cymraeg, croeso chi wneud fe ail ceithi i'r siaradwr gwaith. Gyntaf, dyn ni'n Malcolm siarad o Pennant, so dyn ni'n mynd â Craig o Brigad Tân, a wedyn gobeithio cael us o Communities 2.0. Firstly, we've got Malcolm, and then we've got Craig from Fire Brigade, and then hopefully we'll Callis, and then most importantly, there's lunch at 1. So
might be a bit earlier today.
Yeah, it might be a bit earlier. We'll see you Callis. Croeso I Malcolm. Welcome, Malcolm. I'm not going to say anything more because you probably give the background to the community centre in Pennant, your old school. So, Croeso, over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. This is the first running through of this presentation. Anne contacted me about 2 weeks ago and asked me if I'd do something. I thought, should I? But yes, I decided I would. Without being any more pressure. As I say, that's who I am, and basically that's what I do within the organisation. They give me a broom occasionally, paintbrush, do the gardening, but that's the main thing. The reason for this is that most of the people involved are retired, but other people have taken on other jobs. I retired and I didn't take on but I did take a paid job on for a couple of years, then I retired again. I was a policeman for 30 years, and obviously I was looking to retire early, and my wife has got a good job, so it means I don't have to do work. So I chose to do some work of my choice, which was with the community. That's the official title of the organisation, because we did register as a company, limited by guarantee, and then we also registered the company as a charity in November, and that's all the contact details. We have our own website and email contacts. And that's the building. Built in 1873, the main structure was just the hall. The little bits here and here were added later, and there's some sheds here. And this was a wooden extension. I think it was planned to go in sometime in the 1960s, because the toilets used to be in the yard, used to have to cross the yard, and this houses the toilets. It was actually put in 2006, so it took them 45 years or so to get round to that, and then they shut the school 3 years later. So it was £100,000, obviously well spent. If nobody knows where Pennant is, which is just a short distance up the coast road, turn off up the B road there. There isn't it's not like Aberrane, it's quite spread out, probably like a lot of the places you come from yourselves. There's a sort of core of houses at the crossroads, and then it's spread out towards Crossing, Aberrane, Fanon, Piera. There's a lot of actually addresses that fall in these other areas that are postal, Pennant, but they consider themselves to be the areas that never crossing. The village has around 350 people, but we're tending to service an area now outside of that because Crossing, their school shut. There was some question about who owned the building and whether it was a charity, but it found out the council had a 999-year lease on the property, and that was then going to become a creche, but that's stalled at the moment. But as a result, the community can't use it because there's a covenant says it must be used for educational purposes. So I think they get in there once a week for a coffee morning, but you're getting a few other people from there, and Kilkenny, well, even Newquay. We've got some people coming from Newquay, so, but that's in relation to some of the events that we run there as well. Pre-2003, we did have a pub, the Ship, which was one of the many of the pubs that Dylan Thomas used to drink in, which I don't think that's anything spectacular, because I think he drank in most of them. And we had the county primary school, which is the building we have now. We have a chapel, a church, and there was a twice-weekly bus service, which did stop. We then had no bus service at all. Social events were generally the parent teachers, governors. We used to have bingo nights, quiz nights. They ran entertainment down in the Feathers or at Tiglin Hotel for fundraising. And obviously we had the harvest festivals and Christmas carols. But other than that, there was nothing structured. If anything was run, we had the WI used to run a trip and a treasure hunt each year, but that was about the end of it. There was no sort of general meeting place for anybody. We lost the pub in 2003, and a group of people got together and formed a group called Flies Pennant. We were fortunate that the headmaster at Pennant School would let us use the building with no charge. We did have the long room for a time at the chapel, but because of fire regulations, as there's only one set of stairs in and out, we couldn't use that. And the church hall wasn't very big, and it wasn't used a great deal either, so it tended to be a bit sort of damp and musty. They started producing a monthly newsletter, and as a result of getting some people together, there was a village survey put together asking people what they wanted to do in the way of community. And obviously one of the main things which came to the light was they wanted a community, some sort of community facility. So as the pub had shut and was up for sale, they approached the owner of the Ship to buy that. Now he wanted to sell it as a domestic dwelling because it was worth more than a business, but unfortunately he couldn't at that time because he had to get change of use. So they did get the grant of £48,000 together, which obviously they would have had to raise more money, but he wouldn't sell. He wouldn't sell to the community. He wanted to get a better price and hung it out. And eventually it became, it's now dwelling. I don't know if anyone's heard of the Ship or seen it, it's now just been converted into a house. So it will never be a pub again. Considering that it used to have 3 pubs and 5 ale houses in the past, there's nothing there now, but I think that's a characteristic of a lot of villages now. The pubs have gone. They can't compete with cheap alcohol that's available in supermarkets. And with the weather we've been having, people don't want to go out. And I said the school closed in 2009. There were meetings which were to bring together the parents, governors, the community, which was attended by the Chief Education Officer. The setup was that the headmaster of the school was also headmaster of another school, Kilkenny, in the area. And because of the numbers on the roll, what should have happened in 2009 is Kilkenny school should have shut, and they would have come to Pennant. But the trouble is with Pennant, it's a very confined space. There's very little yard or outside space for the children, whereas in Kilkenny, it's got a big field and more facilities. So basically the meeting decided that rather than Kilkenny shut, that they shut Pennant and moved the children. They all came together on Fridays, the school kids, with Flannan, Kilkenny and Bryn Herbert when that was open. So they had 4 schools used to get together on a Friday, so all the kids knew each other, and they put on some transport. So, as I say, the decision was then taken by everybody, and it was inevitable it would have happened the following year, even if Pennant had stopped open, it would have closed in July 2010. Whereas it was when he moved to Kilkenny, they've had 2 families move into the village. One had 6 children, one had 5, so they immediately got 11 children gone into the school. So Kilkenny's, except for the new, I know the new criteria now on closures may still affect it, but it should be fairly safe. As a result of the closure, the community were allowed to use the premises without charge, but we couldn't make a charge. So, as an organisation taking it on, we weren't allowed to charge anyone to use it. We weren't paying for electricity at the time either, or we weren't paying for anything. But what we did initially was ask for donations. So people tended to give us donations. This resulted in the community Pennant being set up, basically. So, because you've got to have a constituted body. Council wouldn't deal with anybody who wasn't a constituted body. So we wrote up the constitution, or I wrote up the constitution, and then we took on the running of the premises. You still have to go through the official closure procedure, even though everyone agreed it got to be shut. We went through the official procedures and ceased being a school in April 2010. Unfortunately, on the death of the postmistress and the owner of the village shop, we lost the shop in May 2010. So it was on the initial thing. We incorporated on the 7th of July 2010. We then ran another village survey to see what people wanted to do. And now I've got my glasses, so I can't read the notes of them. As I say, when I said earlier on the other thing, we lost any bus service, but then we have had Bucker bus in the village, which is working well for the people that have to come down. Better now that he comes here, because it used to go to Killieron. Then people will have to catch a bus, start the Lambert to Aberern, now to bring them down to Aberern, so it's a better setup in that respect. And because we're a company, limited by guarantee, we have to have members, so people in the village aren't automatically members of the community centre. They get all the newsletters, etc. that we do, but you can't make someone a member of something when there's a legal obligation. So people do join as a member, and we charge £5 a year, which they do get benefits for, which I think I've alluded to later on. And say from September 2010, again we were still rent free. We were able to charge for hiring, and we put together a diary of events which I did look back to 2009, and I think in a month we had 4 things running, which as we weren't paying anything out, that wasn't an issue. We hadn't got to make money, but obviously we've got to try and build up a fund in some way. Of which Fleiss actually donated £1,300, because Fleiss Penant had actually raised funds. So when that was wound up, when the new communion started, they transferred £1,300 across, so it gave them a bit of a fund to start with. Obviously we then got to ensure the public liability of the building was still covered by the council because they still owned it, but we had to have public liability insurance. We went through various companies and they was giving us prices of £600–700 for public liability insurance. Well, I went on the internet and found Tennyson Insurance. They underwrite for charities or community associations or groups, and we had £5 million of public liability for £90. It's underwritten by Zurich, so it's not a sort of fly-by-night setup, and you can do it all online. There's no problems with forms. They send all the forms back. If someone's got a card, they can pay it. It's all done online. You get all the documents, you print them out, and we've got the notices in the building. Obviously, when we took the building on, we were responsible for maintenance and service charges, water and electricity. Electricity, I haven't seen the one notice there about the costs. Electricity is a big cost. There are storage heaters, and then stone building. If you put them on overnight, by the time you'd come in the following evening to use it, it's stone cold, and it was damp. When we did some maintenance ourselves, we decorated. We must have pulled out the Welsh supply of staples out the wall, because they stapled everything to the walls, and pinned it. And when we took some of these boards down, everything behind fell off because it was wet. Which we had to leave uncovered to try and dry, and it's still now in that state. We have to replace the toilets because they were the little toilets and stalls for the children, which was a problem. And we inherited all their furniture, which were the smaller versions of these sort of chairs and the cut-down tables, which was a little difficult for the older population. Some of them had been there a long time, had to be helped up so they could go home. They'd set. But we've got over that now. And so we were rent-free until March 2012, when we started paying £250 a month till September, and then from September we pay £300 a month. So hopefully it's not going to go up at that rate every year, because otherwise we'd be paying a lot of money. At the moment, we've received grants from the Community Chest through Acadia and Sports Wales. We bought yoga mats and blocks. We've just recently run a first aid training course, and we're taking part in the Age Cymru Nordic walking training, because it's for 50 years, age of 50 years and over. I'm doing it, so. But we have some quite a few older people doing it, and they seem to think we're very fit, but that's probably due to all the hills in the village. Big lottery fund. As I say, we purchased tables. We bought those new chairs. We've got a lot of these chairs, and they link together. They're £1 each from the National Library. They were on eBay. Someone saw them and they went up, and they were really good chairs. And for £1, we had 144 chairs, so that should tide us over for a bit. A large range cooker, because we do a lot of food in the evenings. Today, actually, there would have been some else with me, but we have a luncheon club on the second Wednesday, and it just happens to fall on today, so that's what they're doing. And obviously storage at the freezer, dishwasher, because it ruined my hands doing all the washing. Toaster for the coffee mornings, or if people bring stuff along for any of the events we have, they can use that. The microwave, and obviously all the Roman cutlery, utensils, crockery, and a film screen. We had a large film screen that basically fills a wall, because we do show films as part of our monthly programme. Right, this is the one now that we've just submitted, the big lottery fund. I say it has taken 2.5 years. I've sat down, actually, it was April 2010 when we sat down inside, with the survey, with what people wanted us to do, etc., what was the way to do it. So the obvious thing was we needed money, and no one in the village has got the sort of money we'd need, so this was what we went for, people and places. They always ask the question, Big Lottery Fund, why purchase? Well, the problem we've got is, although we are renting, we only have a rolling 12-month lease, which they want to sell. They don't want to rent it, they said you've got to buy it, or there's no alternative. It did make the papers just before the election because the council turned around and said they were going to put it on the market. But we were fortunate that we had somebody who could speak direct to them, and they came up with this 12-month rolling lease. So we hope the Big Lottery take that on board, the fact that they're not bothered we have a lease or whatever, but they're not. They'd be nowhere thinking that we must purchase it for the community. That's not one of their main consideration. We're then going to extend and refurbish the old building. The old extension that you saw in the picture, that will be going. The footprint of the building will be smaller. We're having a second story put on half of the building. The kitchen's going to be 4 times the size it is now. We're making sure there's going to be plenty of storage, because everywhere we go, I actually went with Carver to some of the halls and saw them, and some of the things that always came to mind, got chairs around tables and things, because there was nowhere to put them. So something we've looked at straight away is somewhere with the groups you have there, with all the equipment you got, because it's surprising how much stuff. We're thinking now we've got to empty this building, and we think we've got to find something quite large to put everything in. Because we're surprised at how much stuff we put in there in the 2.5 years. We'll have a plant room. There's going to be a kitchenette, so people don't have to go into the main kitchen. So anyone who comes in can have access to hot drinks, a fridge, and toaster and microwave without having to go into the main fridge. And also part of the Big Lottery funding is for 3 years running costs and 2 funded posts, part-time posts. Because you can get a revenue grant to cover that as well. But also what we did was we had the development grant. We put in the main bid. Now the development grant, you can have 5% of your capital expenditure to use for your solicitors, architects, quantity surveyors, structural engineers. They pay for all that without you don't have to really just send the bill off and you draw the money down. Because I know when we went to speak to some people, they'd gone through that process and paid it all themselves, whereas they could have got the money. We had 21,600, I think it was, and we spent about 19,700, I think it was, all total. So it's it's well worth. It takes a bit longer. The grant takes a bit longer then to go through the processes, but if you haven't got the money, it's just a case. Use the time. That's who we have as our management team. I don't know if anyone's heard of David Edwards. He's Birmingham County Councillor, who happens to be on the planning committee. Not that he has any sway, because he has to declare his interest. Ian Roberts used to be, I think he was a senior social services. Ian Lampert, he was a local businessman. The secretary, I must mention her, that's my mother-in-law. She worked for charities as a support worker and managed the nursery at Lancaster University for a long time. That's what I'm going 2 years. Obviously me. Ron Cutler, he's long time retired. He worked in the Midlands in industry. Phil Hookin, he was he's a retired deputy headmaster, and he was an education inspector. He's written bids for lottery grants, etc. before, so he was very useful. And Anne-Marie Buckland, she's a director of age concern. So we're fortunate to have quite a few people in the village who've got experience and background in charities, in business. So, you know, it was a lot of work together. We put in a lot of hours, but in the end, we hope it resulted in the right result for us. As the newsletter editor, I produce the monthly newsletter called Communed. I print and deliver 110 copies each month, and say 92 copies go out by email. Again, I've repeated our email and website. The website has got all the information on all the groups that are there. It's got some of the background on us. Also, it's got the history of the village. A gentleman who lives in the village, David Williams, he did a website, and it's going back through history about the village. He approached us and said, would we consider putting it on there? Although he's got his website, he said, well, you know, he's in his late 80s, he says, I'm not going to sort of last that long, and once I've gone, that website will go down and it'll be lost. So we've copied it all across, so there's the history of the village on there as well. Someone in the road I live in the village is a web designer. But we went for quite a simple setup, what it's called 123 in company art, and it's basically a templated site. You don't have to know all the HTML and codes, etc. You can take out a design, and it's quite easy to update. And with the password, you can have any number of people updating it. Although I tend to be the only one, because you want to restrict, obviously. Well, not restrict, you want to be able to vet what goes on there. Because we're not political or anything like that, so we want to keep everything to a community base. As I say, when we started, we had 4 things a month. That's our monthly output now. The yoga club meets every Monday. WI used to meet once a month, now on an evening, now they meet twice a month in the afternoons. Plus they put on other events where they've had WIs there, presentations, speakers. Luncheon club, that's twice a month on a Wednesday. Healthy Choices, that's run by a GP who lives in the village, and her husband has got a doctorate in sports science. And basically, they talk about food, nutrition, calories, fats, and also put together exercise programs. I'm the only man who attends, and I've lost a stone since I've started, so it works. You know, even if it's something that nags you, it does work. It does get you to do a bit more and probably eat a bit less. And I say they're the people who can tell you, because when you go, they weigh you, blood pressure, and measure you, and then they do the exercises or presentations, or they get a speaker in. And it's very good. Everyone who's been there has done well. And the doctors here have said how it has improved because you've got the patients from the village here. Coffee mornings every week. Art group, that started up once a month, now meets every week. And they're doing very well. They produce some very good work, and recently had an exhibition. They ran an exhibition up at the school, and quite a few people were there. The biggest group is the Stitchers group. That's all types of stitching. Again, that's run every week, and 2 Saturdays, 2 whole Saturdays during the month as well. Photography groups just recently started. Film nights, we have what's called an umbrella licence for the Motion Picture Licensing Authority, which I think cost us this time about £80 for the year, and we can have up to 39 people in. You can't advertise what the film is publicly. You can't pay to see the film, so what we do is we sell a raffle ticket for £2, and at the end of the night do a draw, and the person wins the film. And we put on ice cream and refreshments during the show. Live shows, we do through the Night Out scheme, which is sponsored by the Welsh Arts Council. We do those every 3 months, well, like 3 a year, and you can make basically £100 profit off your ticket sales plus anything ancillary. Any other profit from ticket sales has to go back onto, because we have to pay them £300, and if we made 500, we'd have to pay them 400 back. We keep 100. But we've had Isla St Clair, we've had Mal Pope recently, Phil Fernando, he's local. Was it 4 Men and a Bow Tie? All professional acts. There's over 800 acts, I think, available on this list if you go to a night out. Explains everything. All you need is someone nominate themselves as a promoter, and they can arrange these nights. Obviously, we have bingo, games nights, card games, board games. We've got a home brew group. I'm convinced they only brew it, go up there, drink it. I'm not convinced they do anything else, because they meet about 9:30 and finish about 11. And I've never been there, but we've obviously collected all the stuff they've left the night before when we go. So obviously, yeah. Quiz nights are very popular. Socials, that's different meal. We'll have organised meals or cheese and wine. A lot of people like just to come down and have a good chat, believe it or not. Gardening club, that meets today. They've got a load of free bulbs from the community council they're going to be planting today. History club, they've been working on the graveyards for, it's a national project to draw up all the graveyards grouped and take down any inscriptions and names, so it can be searched. Rambling group, which is month to month, and the Nordic walking group, which we're just finishing the training course with Age Cymru. So for the fitter members in the community, it's very enjoyable. It is. Also, we purchase postage stamps. We buy direct from the post office. As long as you can put someone up to do that, and you've got your organisation, you can buy them at a cheaper rate. Actually, before they went up, we bought thousands. So we're still selling stamps at 35p and 43p to the people in the village. So
everybody get their Christmas cards in quick now, is it?
Yeah, they keep buying. Come along, got £50 worth of stamps. So, but we've still got some left. So yeah, they have it, and we've been running a bulk oil purchase scheme since Flice actually for about 5-6 years. We've been doing that. And a lot of people produce veg, eggs and plants. They bring it along to coffee mornings, set up a table so people can come along and buy fresh eggs, vegetables, tomatoes. And on top of that then, next year, the one woman in the village, she's got 12 acres of land, has said that we can have areas for allotments. So we're going to start having some allotments up there as well for people to use. Well, a lot of people don't seem to want more land. I think some people probably get plenty of it for themselves. And so the other events on top of those, we always do a St David's Day, we have entertainment. Generally the kids will come and do their songs and or play musical instruments. Winter supper, that is really a take-off of the Harvest Festival. Art and Craft Fair, we have the third one this year, which is generally all, majority of it is people who just live in the village, with the different crafts and things they do. The Christmas Fair, that's this weekend coming, that's the third one as well. Art exhibition, say we had the first one this year, there was like a paid evening to view on Saturday and Sunday, it was open for general viewing. And then we still keep a contact with the school, that they come, it's 6th of December I think they're coming this time. They come down and do cats and carols, and we give them some little gifts. And then we run 100 clubs, so we've got a big 100 club draw. We've got a members draw, because basically membership money is paid back. So we put £100 in a members draw, just so early December they get some money to spend on presents or wherever they want to buy. And so the highest we've had charity groups, MedCap have used it, where they come along with the they do cooking there and The local Rotary Club, which I'm a member of, they did a Kids Day Out programme, and we put on films and games and feed them, and this is for the more disadvantaged kids in the area, and they love it. You know, we've done it twice, we're doing it again 13th. I think it's 12th or 13th of December, we were doing another one. And Latch, which is another child's group, through Kelly County Council, they've used it teaching cooking skills for some of the kids. Obviously, there's the private parties. We've got an exercise group who come from Treventa. I don't see having the closest call to them, but they're coming there to run a programme before and after Christmas, I think, to try and reduce the weight increase. And I said we have a look at groups, we've got meetings and presentations. And we've recently had it booked for this Christmas Day, booked all day. Someone has a large gathering of family and they thought it would be better there than at home. So they've got 2 rooms, they can throw the kids into one, they can be in the other one. And also, something we have considered is licensing the facility for holding weddings services. And someone has actually said they want to book it 2013-14. I think that would more be dependent on if we get the grant and get the work done. But it'd be nice if we do. I mean, it would be another string to the bow.